I ended up at 1 million and I didn't really make mistakes. This didn't mean that I was doing an amazing job. I just got lucky.
Paid addiction, as you also call it, that happened in Hockey Stack and later on, actually beforehand, in Cognism as well. Why do you think that happens? Like, what's in there?
5% of your audience is market, 95 needs to be nurtured. And okay, we can increase the spend by 2x, but it will not increase that 5% to 10%. It will just help us to reach more people in that 95% of the audience.
Like, how do you combat seasonality when it comes to B2B SaaS?
We need to be maxing out our existing channels. That's what actually I had been chatting with Chris Walker. You can technically reach to 100 mil ARR by maxing out 3 channels.
What is next for you?
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Canberk, thank you so much for joining us for this podcast.
For having me. This is my actually first in-person podcast, so I'm really pumped to be here.
Is it your first?
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Georgi has been doing this a lot for the Growth Syndicate. But yeah, should we do a quick round of introductions?
Yeah, sure.
For our listeners?
Yeah. So, hi, everyone. Not the first time on the podcast. I'm Georgie. I'm the growth lead within the Growth Syndicate. So all of the events that are happening, everything around the community and on social media is currently handled by myself. But less about me, more about the guest, I suppose.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Canberk, and now I'm the founder of Roasted. And before Roasted, I was at Hockey Stack, I was at Cognism, and I had been working with more than 50 companies in B2B SaaS for the paid media. I'm also a marketing partner in LinkedIn and advisor at Microsoft S.
Nice.
I have so many questions around that.
Oh,
but
let's get rolling.
Later. Isaac, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I'm Isabel. I've also been working in the B2B SaaS space for the last 10 years, and I'm a senior growth marketer here at the Growth Syndicate. And we do have a lot of really nice questions to ask you today. And we already had a nice conversation before we started recording, but
exactly.
Let's get started. One of the first things we wanted to ask was, what is your origin story? And how did you transition from something like corporate law, which is, we know where you started originally, and suddenly becoming a growth marketing expert?
It has all been very coincidental. Like, I had no plans on what I was going to be doing. I was a corporate lawyer and I realized that I hated my life. And I was applying to all of these positions in tech because I realized, okay, tech could have been a nice role for me. But obviously, if you're a law graduate, nobody actually gets back to you, even though you apply for unpaid internships. And at that part, I was actually working with someone previously, and he used to be a management consultant. And he decided to leave his company to join a startup. And then he texted me and he was like, if you want, I have a position. And I was like, okay, what kind of position? Growth hacker. I had no idea what growth was, what hacker was. And it was a B2C company. It was a B2C company like Uber, but for cleaning. So you just order a cleaner and we were the matchmakers. But apparently, if you do a cleaning job, it is like the worst job you could do because everyone has a different understanding when it comes to cleaning and nobody's happy of their cleaning. Okay. And also, if you say the supplier, the cleaner, that the cleaning was not good, and obviously they say, no, I did a good job. You can't really prove that. Even with Uber, you can't prove it. You could be okay, the road was supposed to take 20 minutes, you took 35 minutes, or you took 5 minutes. But with cleaning, you can't really do that. So after a year, it was an amazing year, because I learned so many things, but also I realized that I don't want to be doing that thing. I love tech, but I didn't want to deal with people. At that point, I was okay, maybe B2B. And at that point, I actually met someone and he was starting his own company. And he said, do you want to join? I said, yeah, why not? And it was a B2B SaaS, and it was like a no-code mobile builder for e-commerce platforms.
Okay.
And by the time we launched the product, COVID happened. Best thing.
Okay.
Best thing.
Yeah.
With COVID, e-commerce, mobile commerce.
Yeah.
And in 6 months, the company reached 1 mil. And even though we were not doing anything, it was just growing to Shopify App Store. And after a year, after 14 months, we got acquired. At that point, I said, okay, I kind of like B2B SaaS. And at that point, I actually got headhunted by a UK company. At that point, I was still in Istanbul. And the position was a demand gen manager. It was an individual contributor position. And I was a co-founder. But it was a horrible job to be a co-founder. So at that point, I was like, okay, I can go back and I can actually start learning again. At that point, my marketing knowledge was limited. I was like, okay, I could do it. And I joined Deepcrawl. Deepcrawl was an interesting experience because it was the first marketing and B2B SaaS role, like a proper marketing. And things went well. I ended up becoming head of growth there. And at that point, I joined Cognizant as their group global head of paid. Such a long title. I hated the title. I just said I want to be head of growth. They were like, no, you want to be group global head of paid media.
Okay.
And Cognizant, things were going great, and we were hitting all of the targets. It was like the paramount of demand gen. And at the same time, I started advising Hockeystack. And by the time Cognizant grew to a point that it got too big, and I was advising Hockeystack, and Hockeystack was poaching me for the last 2 years. And I said, okay, should I go? And they're like, yeah, you should come. And at that point I said, okay, I'm going to start from scratch again from Hockeystack, from a company that were spending 1.5 million every month for marketing to a company that would spend 5K to 10K to marketing. I was okay, I'm going to start over. And with Hockeystack, things went really well. And like we grew by 5x in 6 months, and like we built the entire marketing strategy there, including Hockeystack Labs and everything. And after 6 months, I realized that okay, I don't think I actually want to be doing this job. And I thought I was going to retire. Like I didn't really see myself doing tech. I didn't really see myself doing marketing because it was just a very intense time of my life. Like it was the proper tech life in San Francisco, backed by Y Combinator. It is like the tech bro life. And I always assumed that I liked that life. But at that year, I actually started to have therapy. And the therapy really helped me to see, okay, tech shouldn't be like this. Your job cannot have your entire life.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'm leaving. And at that point, I didn't know what I was going to be doing, and I just took the months off.
Yeah.
But at that point, Hockeystack didn't really want me to change my title or anything, so we just created this imaginary title, Head of Insights, so that people on LinkedIn would still think that I was at Hockeystack, which was okay for me, fair deal. And around like August, I had been advising some companies on hourly rate, just for fun, but I realized that some people actually start to recommend me to other people. And I realized that, okay, I have now 2 clients, then 3 clients, then 5 clients. Then I was like, okay, I think I have a company. One day I said, okay, maybe I just need to create my HubSpot because I'm really suffering to track my customers and the payments and everything. And I realized, okay, this company is actually at 500K now. Then I was like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no plans.
Yeah.
It's just happening. And then by the end of December, I was like, okay, I'm at 1 million. How the hell? And at this point, I was like, okay, now I think I need to do something. Like, I think I'm a company owner, I'm a founder, and I just need to be doing something accordingly. And at that point, I started to form a company, start hiring people. But before that, like my biggest concern was, okay, I end up at 1 million. And I didn't really make mistakes, but this didn't mean that I was doing an amazing job. I just got lucky. And I just needed to make sure that I needed something to help me, someone to help me, someone who's been there and done that. So one night I just messaged Chris Walker. I was like, I have this theory. What do you feel about it? And then we had the call. And after the call, it was a nice call. After the call, I messaged him. I was like, how do you feel about becoming my advisor? And then I convinced him to become my advisor, to become my partner. And Chris coming really helped me to understand, okay, what I want to be building and what I don't want to be building. And it made me realize, okay, I definitely don't want to be building a 10 mil company. I definitely don't want to be working 7 days a week. At that point, when I was building the company, not even building the company, I was just working. I realized I was working like 7 days. I was working more than 100 hours. And like, is this what I want? No. Actually, what I want is that I need to have a proper work and life balance. I need to have a life that makes me happy. So then the company has evolved into something that I don't want to be growing. I just want to be creating a company that would help me to switch off. So now my personal KPI to myself by the end of the year is that I should be working 4 days a week, and I should be spending the other day for charities, so that I can actually have some sustainable life and a life that actually fulfills me. But yeah, now the company has 5 people, including me, and I'm happy because I can just leave and then come back, and I know that nothing will go completely wrong. And yeah, here we are. I'm in Amsterdam having my holiday, and the people in my company are working.
Awesome. Awesome. I just want to touch upon a few things. So first thing first, you mentioned word of mouth. I think it generally becomes supernatural when you build your founder brand and you generally do a great work that's, are going to get a shit ton of word of mouth in that sense. Something that paid a huge attention to me is indeed that paid addiction, as you also call it, that happened in Hockey Stack and later on, actually beforehand in Cognism as well. Why do you think that happens? Like, what's in there?
I think it is coming from the VC money. And I'm trying to also tell my clients that, because whenever we hit the goals with the clients, they're like, okay, let's increase the budget. So I'm just trying to tell this story. When you work with finance people, they have an understanding that, okay, if we are spending 5K and generating 15K, then we can spend 10K and generate 30K. However, marketing doesn't work like that. The unit of economics is different. And we need to be taking into account that we need to be nurturing the audience. Like, it comes to the first part that everyone talks about. 5% of your audience is market, 95 needs to be nurtured. And okay, we can increase the spend by 2x, but it will not increase that 5% to 10%. It will just help us to reach more people in that 95% of the audience. But if you just generate your results from paid media, you automatically assume that if you just increase your numbers in paid media, you are going to increase your numbers. Like with Cognism, it really grew so much through paid media. Like, there was no community, there was no really organic marketing. Like, the SEO game was good, but in terms of event sponsorship, in terms of offline marketing, it was really lacking. But with Cognism, like, we hit each target every quarter, every month, and if you hit your targets, the VCs always want you to then increase the budget by 2x, then 3x. And yeah, I found myself spending 1.5 mil every month. And I found myself trying to explain before I got that budget, we shouldn't be having this budget. Like, we should be allocating that budget to somewhere else. But when you say that, it actually comes with unpredictability. And finance people don't like that. VCs don't like that. Because if you have the data that LinkedIn if you spend 1 mil on LinkedIn, you generate 10 mil. And if you say that, okay, maybe we shouldn't be spending 2 mil on LinkedIn, but we should be allocating 500K to this event, they're like, but we cannot really forecast. And that's the problem. Or with Hockey Stack, the time was limited at that point. Like, we were an execution platform, then we tried to reposition the company as a command center for GTM so that we could expand to the sales persona. But the time was limited because it was a B2B SaaS software, and like, you can't really be like Rippling or Stripe. And then at that point, we were still trying to build the engine. Like, we started with 10K, then it became 20K, then it became 50K, and we couldn't really be increasing the budget every month. We needed to create a benchmark, a threshold every quarter. But it wasn't enough for Hockey Stack. It was more like, okay, let's increase every month, even though it was not going to be sustainable. Then you end up trying to explain the story that, okay, I told you, now it's happening, but somehow the paid problem. No, it is not the paid problem, it is the expectations. But thankfully, with the clients, I had been able to explain this better with these examples. Basically, I tell them, okay, we are not hitting our targets, but this happened the same at Cognism, this happened the same at Hockey Stack. If we just increase it right now, it won't happen. We need to be increasing gradually. We cannot just be addicted to paid. We need to make sure that we have other functions in the marketing that is going for the same goal.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But, so what are the warning signs that a company is becoming too dependent on paid channels?
Good question. I think, if everything becomes a campaign, so like, if everything that is being done by every part of the team becomes a campaign, imagine events are being done for lead generation on LinkedIn. Content is being created for website traffic from LinkedIn, but they are not being created for thought leadership. They are not being created for actually helping other people, but they are being created to be distributed. And I think that's the problem. And then the other problem, obviously, is that paid is still easy to track. Like, you can just be like, okay, we are looking at our paid pipeline, we are looking at the last UTM, it is easy to track. But when it comes to actually sponsoring an event, it is not very easy to track. When it comes to investing in SEO, it is not really easy to track. And again, with SEO, you can possibly track by looking at organic traffic and everything, but it takes 6 months. And you cannot really tell this story for 2 months. You need to wait. But in paid, you can be like, okay, we can see the results in a month, in 2 months. And yeah, like if in a point, everything that the team is creating becomes the campaign for paid media. And if that's the case, then it becomes that there's a paid addiction.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's almost like instant gratification, right? Like you see quick results, then you're just tempted to keep on investing in that. Yeah, it makes sense. And I think you mentioned earlier this concept of 95% being out of market and 5% in market. That's something we talk about really often at the Growth Syndicate as well. And we talk also a lot about how to get in the minds of that 95%. And oftentimes we don't recommend putting all of your eggs in one basket, which is the paid basket. So this is super, super nice to talk to you about this as well.
Yeah, ultimately, when you turn off your paid, you can see just how volatile is your brand game. Yeah. And then you kind of need to ring the bell. Oh, okay, we might have invested way too much in the short term. How do you recommend people to fight that once they're there? Because I feel like it's, okay, now you have proven that you can grow, right? But then how do you plug in that painkiller within the marketing team and to still manage the same stakeholder expectations?
I think repeatability. Like first, marketing needs to be able to tell this story that, okay, we are spending this money, we are generating this result, we generated this result last month, we generated this result this month, and we are going to generate the same result in the next month. And if we have that repeatability in the numbers and in the outcome, then okay, it is time that we can scale up. But if we don't have that repeatability, like if we just increase that budget and got good results last month, it is not enough. Like we need to have 3 months to make sure that everything is on track, because it could just be coincidence. Like imagine you could be increasing the budget in, let's say, back to the school term, and your company could really be getting results from a normal back to the school term. And it would not mean that your spend impacted that, because it was going to happen anyways. So like you need to see one more month. You need to see one more month to make sure, okay, it was not a coincidence. It is a statistically significant data. Therefore, we are ready to scale up.
Right. And seasonality. I was going
to ask about that.
Yeah, okay,
too.
Go ahead.
Like a wildcard question, because it wasn't in our list of things that we prepared. But like, how do you combat seasonality when it comes to B2B SaaS? And that's also a bit connected to being too dependent on paid, right? Like budgets change, but also the market changes according to the season. Like classically, people just buy less or are less interested in your ads and in your products during the summertime and during the Christmas holidays. And so, what is your way of combating that?
Thankfully now I can just say that, okay, I have like 10 clients and we are seeing this data in every 10 client. Like it is really helping me, because when I was in-house, it was a different story. And it was a story that, oh, okay, I used to see a same impact in my previous company, but the data sample size was limited. But now I can just say that, okay, we are literally seeing this across all of the accounts. It is not you, it is the season.
Yes.
But like if I was in-house, I would even look at the last year data, the previous data to compare, because it was a thing with Cognizant as well. Like there was this month that everything would always go down, and every month in that month I would have to explain why. And my explanation was literally showing the data from the previous year, from the earlier year, But you just need to be able to tell that story. And if you don't have that data though, probably I would just reverse engineer what I have. Like on LinkedIn, let's look at in-platform data. What was my in-platform data looking like last month when I hit the targets, and when it is looking like right now? Do I see an increase in frequency, and do I see a decrease in engagement metrics? Like, because there's a level of frequency. Like if you just have hit a certain amount of frequency, then you could assume that maybe it was ad fatigue. But if everything is going according to the plan, if every number looks okay, then it's a season. Or like on Google, it is easier. If you don't get enough search volumes, there's nothing you can do really.
Yeah. It's really using the power of data to tell your story to the, important stakeholders in the company, the ones in charge of the budget.
Yeah. I actually want to challenge that though, because nowadays you cannot look per se and trust fully the data from last year, right? Simply because AI boomed, more people came into the market, more noise was made. So I kind of want to challenge that. perspective?
From the previous data, though, I meant the previous data of the company.
Right.
Like you might, let's say you had been generating like, I don't know, 2 mil pipeline every month, but you end up generating 1 mil this month. And you don't need to be generating the same amount of pipeline last year. But if you had seen a similar decrease, like 50% decrease last year, then okay. It's the data.
And the story makes sense.
Yeah.
Just to talk a bit about LinkedIn now. LinkedIn has traditionally dominated the B2B marketing spend. How has the platform evolved, and what challenges are marketers facing there at the moment?
It is getting more and more expensive.
Yes.
But also we need to accept the fact that they have a monopoly. They have a monopoly because they are the only platform that have the company data and job title data. So you can easily diagnose your campaign. You can easily understand the return on investment of your campaign, even though you are not looking for a direct conversion. Because even if you are running a brand campaign, you can technically, even though you don't have any tool, you can just look at the companies that you reach on LinkedIn as their engagement level, and then you can compare that data with your CRM, and you'll be like, okay, these companies are coming organically, but these companies were being targeted in the last 60 days with this amount of impressions. You cannot do this on Google. You can't do this on Reddit. And like, okay, there are a lot of platforms that you can reach an audience to a cheaper cost, but you cannot really say that, like on LinkedIn, if it is not working, I can understand why it is not working really easily. Like, am I targeting the right job titles? Am I targeting the right companies? And if everything is right, but it is not working, then okay, the problem is content. And then you can diagnose, okay, what kind of content is not working. Then if your content is actually generating good results, then you can understand that, okay, I'm reaching to right people, they're engaged with my content, but then my website is the problem. So LinkedIn gives you that picture. But in the other platforms, you need to trust your gut. Therefore, I think for B2B, LinkedIn will be the monopoly for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. So big challenge is basically that it just costs a lot. But like these are exactly the reasons why I love using LinkedIn for B2B marketing.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about Reddit?
Just to dive in a tiny bit more, we do try to discover also as well for our clients and for growing the community as well. So cheap paid ads tactic, text ads, for instance, that works quite well. What are some other go-tos that you have in your bag?
How do you define works on Reddit?
I never experimented with Reddit ads still. So, okay, maybe we need to move into Reddit. So let's go right into it.
So for Reddit, what types of B2B companies are seeing the best results on Reddit right now? And why should we be looking into it?
Yeah, it depends on if you have the community. Like there are some communities that B2B SaaS companies can really benefit from. For Cognizant, we really use the sales community on Reddit, B2B sales community on Reddit. I have a couple of clients that are using Reddit because like one of them is a Airbnb owner company, and then there's a community on Reddit, Airbnb owners, and you know that your audience is there. But the problem is you can't really say that everyone in this community is my audience.
Yeah.
And I'm actually running a test. I had been running a test with one of my clients. They're a platform, and we had 4 relevant communities. One of them was startup community, the other was CMO community, the other B2B marketing, B2B sales. And when we look at the community click-through rate, really good click-through rate, it is like 1%. When we look at the CPCs, it is like 50 cents. When we look at the reach, really cheap. But then I want to understand, okay, we are driving this traffic, but is this traffic qualified? So what I do is that I use Clarity with all of my clients because it is basically free of Hotjar. And on Clarity, you can just say, okay, source Reddit, and then look at the website traffic, bounce rate, and everything.
Okay.
And you connect your Google Analytics, you connect your Google as well, and it gives the heat map and everything. And what I saw was that, okay, we are generating a lot of traffic from Reddit, but once we try to filter by qualified traffic, meaning that average session duration more than 30 seconds, clicks at least 2, and at least 1 page visited, it was like 5% traffic was qualified. On LinkedIn, it is around 40%. So this is the difference. You are reaching to a lot of people, you are getting clicks in platform, but we cannot really say that those clicks are qualified. Like there's like 5x difference, 6x difference in terms of qualified clicks coming from Reddit versus LinkedIn.
Have you run any, do you have any data on the rate of your traffic that goes to your pricing page when comparing experiments on Reddit and LinkedIn or no?
Not statistically significant data. I have some data, but it is not a data that I can talk about.
Okay, yeah, that was just interesting from my side. So, would you then think most B2B marketers should go there now?
Like, I feel like, it is the next shiny thing, and marketers love next shiny things. The problem with Reddit is that, just like I mentioned, on LinkedIn, I can reverse engineer and understand what is the problem. On PPC, I can reverse engineer and understand the problem. Like, I can understand my search terms. I can look at that, okay, in auction insights, I'm not seeing my competitors. It means that I'm targeting wrong keywords.
Yep.
So, like, on PPC, on LinkedIn, it is really okay to be able to understand if something is going wrong, or like if you are targeting wrong people. But on Facebook and Reddit, it is not really that easy, because even though, okay, you are seeing good click-through rates on Reddit, you'll see that that clicks are not really qualified on your website. But what are you going to do on Reddit? Like, you can't really filter out that unqualified traffic. You can be feeding the Reddit algorithm with conversion data, but Reddit algorithm, unfortunately, is not that advanced. Like, I'm trying to send that data from my CRM to Reddit, not CRM, from my website to Reddit to understand, okay, if there's like high intent page visits, it will understand it as a conversion. And although I'm sending that data to Reddit, the algorithm is not able to optimize it as good as on Google or LinkedIn.
Yeah, I really love that insight that you don't have control over the quality of the traffic and that it's basically a gamble based on whether the type of community that's relevant for your product is on Reddit or not.
Yeah.
I mean, I always had the theory that it could be interesting for dev-heavy types of products, purely because two of my best friends are software engineers and they're on Reddit all the time when they should be working. But
also crypto startups, perhaps, like crypto. What else?
Community heavy things that really, there are products that by nature draw a community around it, and that's where it could be interesting. How do you think teams should think about budget allocation between established channels like LinkedIn and more emerging ones like Reddit?
Yeah, like, I'm trying to be really conservative now in terms of the channel distribution, because like, we need to be maxing out our existing channels. And that's what actually I had been chatting with Chris Walker, that you can technically reach to 100 mil ARR by maxing out 3 channels. And then you can expand to 5 channels for like 250 mil. And currently, obviously, for B2B SaaS, LinkedIn and Google are the best options. Obviously, if your audience is like more enterprise audience or like more blue collar audience, there's Bing that is really working well. But like, in terms of budget allocation, I would start with Google, but I wouldn't really say 40%, 50%. I would just say, look at the search volumes, look at the estimated CPCs that Google tells you. And like, because if you have a good amount of search volumes that are coming, you need to be capturing that. Otherwise, someone else will capture. It doesn't mean that you need to be running brand campaigns, but you need to be running competitive campaigns. You need to be running high intent product keyword campaigns. And once you establish how much budget you will need to cover all of those keywords, then the rest of the money should be allocated for LinkedIn.
Okay. Look, I find Google Ads can be surprisingly expensive depending on how niche your product could be.
Yeah.
So it can also go crazy, and it's always tempting to move it to LinkedIn instead, because LinkedIn, you see quick results, and Google Ads sometimes it's unpredictable.
I think it also is a bit like gut feeling that,
True.
okay, there's this keyword that is expensive, but is it going to bring me good results? And I had been advising to this email signature software. And what I realized that if someone was searching for centralized email management, they're like 99% going to be enterprise. So for that, I was okay to pay like $200 for a click. And even though we were getting like 10 clicks, those clicks were converting into form submissions, and they were converting into proper enterprise deals.
Yeah.
And even though a click might cost a lot, if that click is some keyword that you're trusting,
important, then
you
it's
got
worth
the bidding.
it.
And that's the thing that you need to be telling internally, because some people just freak out for paying $100 for a click. No, you have to be. If you know that it's going to bring revenue, you have to be.
I just got a bet on it.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to, because we're short on time, one last question about Reddit. And this comes from, this comes initially from one of our team members as well, because he used to run dev marketing and he's still very passionate about Reddit ads, etc., etc. So his question goes along the lines. It's not in there, by the way. His question goes along the lines of which ad types on Reddit works the best according to your data, and what are the first steps that a growth leader need to take in order to market there?
Yeah. The anatomy of a successful Reddit campaign.
Yeah, I think we should be thinking about two campaigns. You can either run a campaign by targeting community or by keywords. If you are running a community targeting campaign, then I would just go with static images because they take more space than a normal post, and you cannot really scroll without seeing it. For keywords, what I seem to see that carousels are working better because with keywords, you are not limited with the community. You can just be let's give a Cognizant example. If you just target keyword of sales intelligence software or sales database software, then it doesn't really mean about database. You can just run a campaign about that specific keyword. And in that case, you can just create a carousel campaign, be okay, this is a story of why you need a sales intelligence software.
Yeah. Nice.
Cool. Let's move into the fixed Q&A. So just one answer, one question, and then try to answer it as
and these are the questions that we ask every guest that we have on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
The first one is what's a controversial opinion that you have about B2B marketing? What's your hot take?
Sorry for not prepping you.
I don't know. I feel like we are all working towards an invisible pipeline goal. We are not changing the world, and we are not actually doing something good for the society. We are just trying to make VCs make more money.
Oof. I don't know if that's controversial or if it's what's hidden inside every marketer's heart.
What is your biggest or favorite marketing fail that you can share?
Yeah, I think with hockey stick, I had that amazing idea at that when I thought it was going to be amazing. That when we were selling the product, obviously we were getting problems in the procurement process, and we were trying to test it by showing that hockey stick can be used by finance teams to understand the efficiency of marketing. It can be used by CFOs, and they can understand what marketing team is doing. So I said, okay, we need to have a brand face. So I got David Wallace from The Office as a face of hockey stick.
Oh my God.
And it just didn't work. We paid so much money for that image rights and everything. And I started promoting that on LinkedIn, and we started that campaign. Didn't work at all.
Well, it's a learning, right?
Yeah. And I had the assumption that David Wallace hockey stick, it would go viral. It didn't.
Yeah. Did it resonate any time back? No? Not at all? Nobody brought it?
No.
Okay. Interesting. You say?
Well, I kind of want to ask this one. What's your favorite marketing tool for 2025?
I feel like, to be fair, Fibler. Adam Holmgren, love him. And I'm using it with all of my clients because it shows that you don't really need to be spending so much money to understand the efficiency of LinkedIn. And okay, LinkedIn shows that data to an extent, but being able to send that data from LinkedIn to CRMs of my clients and then create dashboards to prove how LinkedIn is impacting their outbound journey, how LinkedIn is impacted their entire pipeline is really an amazing thing. And it is really cost effective.
Nice. I have seen Adam left and right. Kudos for the fact that he can work on his own thing, but then also working in-house as well.
Yeah.
I would suggest us to move to the next section, which is facepalm and kudos.
Yeah. So if you could give one facepalm of the week for you, one, I don't know if that's equivalent to a fail of the week, and also kudos to anybody at all or anything that you would like to give some praise for.
Okay, for facepalm, I think I can give it to myself. Last week, this week, early this week, is that Sandoza team was going to send an email, and to that email they wanted to put my cat's picture on treadmill. We had a webinar. They want to send a follow-up email, and I was away. And my team didn't really think it was important, and they let me know. And it was the only day that I didn't really check Slack. And I didn't really send the picture of my cat on a treadmill. Therefore, it wasn't sent to other B2B clients that send those ahead. So it was my face palm of the week. And the kudos, I think, it will go to Tyla from my team. She's going above and beyond. And yeah.
Amazing.
Awesome. Kudos to her, yeah.
Should we do a quick rapid fire section?
Yeah,
For
sure.
closing up?
Let's do it. Do you want to close it up?
Yeah. So we're going to do rapid fire. We ask one quick question, and then you just give a quick answer to it, like just your gut feeling.
Yes or no, this and that type of questions.
So ROI or brand awareness, which should drive your paid strategy?
ROI.
In-house growth team or agency partners?
Neither.
Ooh. If you have to choose one?
Neither, really.
Yourself.
Like, there's a problem. Like, there are two things. With in-house teams, it is really rare to find someone who would be good at strategy and execution. And for agencies, okay, you get a lot of insights from other clients. But then the problem with agencies is that you end up speaking with the founder, but you end up getting your account checked by a junior. And that junior will never actually care about your account as much as an in-house will. So yeah, in-house comes with care and experience. Agency comes with knowledge and insights. But yeah, I would go with neither. If I had to choose, in-house probably.
Fascinating. What is the most overrated marketing metric?
Likes.
Overrated. Interesting. I think it depends on the channel. On LinkedIn, CPC. On Google, brand voice, share of voice, share of brand.
Okay.
Okay.
And what's a book you recommend for B2B marketers who are looking to improve their paid strategy?
Not I don't think there's actually a book for paid strategy, but for anyone in B2B, regardless of them being marketer or not, I would recommend Blitz Scaling by Reid Hoffman. It really changed the trajectory of my experience in tech.
Great.
An OG reading though, for sure.
I have 4 minutes to ask what I really want to ask.
Yeah, go
Do you
ahead.
mind, Georgi? Sorry about this. What is next for you?
I'm going to retire, hopefully in 3 years, and I want to be a teacher.
Amazing.
I want to do my PhD, and hopefully I will just be teaching philosophy in a university.
Teaching philosophy as well. I feel like this just ties back to some things that you mentioned earlier, which we didn't have the time to focus on, which was like that you spend 1 day a week on charities. And that's also something I'm curious about. What charities do you spend your time?
Like now I'm trying to do pro bono work for charities because like I feel like they get money from government, but they actually don't have the expertise to spend that money on paid media.
Yes.
Unfortunately, all of the good people actually work in tech because tech pays well. And you can't really keep a good person for that salary in a charity unless they have the money from their family or like they have a background with money. So I'm just trying to be in between. Like, okay, I have the knowledge and I'm getting the money from the agency, but I feel like the agency work actually does not really satisfy me. The B2B marketing work is not satisfying me because just like I said, like we are working towards this invincible pipeline goal. We are not changing the world. And this now comes with the latest things happening in my life. With like after hockey stick, I realized, okay, that's not the job that I want to be doing. That's not the industry that I want to be working. I still need to be working because I am nowhere close to be retired right now. But I can still make my life a bit meaningful. And I feel like philosophy would be a good way to end this tech life because philosophy is just very human. It's just something that estranges us from what is known and it makes us human.
Yeah. It's fascinating. It ties back to your controversial opinion, right? And I was wondering how you reconcile that, like with the work you're doing, if you have like these doubts about the industry itself, but you've managed to find a way to apply it to something meaningful, like the charity work and.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing. with Cognizant, with hockey stick, like I always try to do the best, but at that point, it just doesn't satisfy you, because whatever you do, you actually is like, okay, we hit the target, but now what? We hit the target, now what? Like,
Gotta do it another time.
yeah, like what do I want to be doing? And with hockey stick, I was making good money, and I realized, okay, this money actually is not making me really happy. So now I'm like, okay, I had to find meaning. And again, Chris Walker really helped me finding that meaning. He's still helping me a lot, because like your work needs to be impactful.
I have to admit that I can really relate to these like thoughts that go through your head, and I'm really going to be keeping an eye out on the next steps for you. And hopefully I get some inspiration from it as well for my own path.
Just something, Chris, if you're watching this, feel free to come and share the learnings that you gave to Canberk. That will be amazing. Cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
This was really great. Yeah.